Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so awesome and great to see all of you back on campus. It's been way too long. Just the joys of standing on the sidelines together are things we missed last year. And I don't want to talk, I want this to be a little bit more about this year, what's happening now and what's coming down the road. But one of my thoughts yesterday in thinking about that field hockey game, and for those of you who don't know, we had senior day for field hockey, had parents driving up from all over the place to see the last home field hockey, well, it won't be the last home field hockey game, hopefully, but senior day for field hockey. And all of a sudden, the opponent, North Cross, called at 11 o'clock yesterday and said they had to cancel. And I think in years past, I don't know what we would have done. We might have just canceled the game. But I think one of the lessons of COVID is, there's a lot of joy in just competing and being on the field together. And the football team decided that they would join in the scrimmage. And so that idea of, and we said this year we weren't going to use the word pivot anymore, but the field hockey team, the coaches pivoted, had this inter-squad scrimmage with the football boys, and it was just a lot of fun. And the pure joy of being together on the field competing was I think to me, one of the reminders of what we did learn from COVID, that there is a lot of joy in some of the everyday things, and we can't take all that for granted. So anyway, I thought that was a really good lead off to the weekend. But in thinking about moving forward and getting back to normal, it was funny. This week I was on a phone call, Zoom call, with all of the Episcopal schools in the state of Virginia. So that was the heads call. And one of the icebreaker questions was, tell us something fun that's happened at school this year. And so, of course, it was just the joy of being back together, having visitors on campus, getting back to competitions and things like that. And then it came to be my turn. I'm like, well, that's easy. Saturday night, we had a dance, and we had a band, and the band was so great, and the dance was so awesome, that the neighbors called the police to complain. So when the police show up, you've thrown a really good party. So yeah, that was really fun. But this year has really been a year about getting back to normal. And last weekend we had the board in town. And for those of you who don't know, our board of trustees, they come to town 3 times a year. And so they really try to work hard on coming in and focusing on the big picture and making sure that we're on track. And we definitely got a clean bill of health from them. And it's been, for me, I feel so supported by the board, and we've got, and I'm not just saying that because the board chair may be in the audience, whether it's here or not. And we've got another board member, Keenan, are you here? I think that's funny. Keenan Walker, just stand up so people can see you, is a new board member, but those are two of our parents on the board. But if you have any questions, concerns, or complaints, I know that the board is always, not eager, but they're willing to listen and help us think through things. But I feel very lucky to have such a supportive board, and the bottom line is that the school's in great shape right now. And I think it was a wonderful meeting. And you can look around and you can see some of the things that are happening. One, I think we are at or really close to a record number of boarding students right now. We've got girls living on 3rd Jet, the first time that's been used as a dormitory in probably 10 years. And I think they're having a wonderful experience up there. But the school's doing really well. Another sign of health, and Bob Lake sent out an email this week saying that every one of our varsity teams is likely going to qualify for postseason competition. So that doesn't happen every year, but that's really great to see that that's going so successfully. The other things that are signs of real progress at VES, when you look around the back of campus, and this is not super helpful to our senior parents who are here, but Panasonic Hall is starting to come out of the ground. And about a year from now, we plan to be having the opening ceremony for that facility. And for those of you who don't know it, are not that familiar with it, so Panasonic Hall is going to be our new academic building. It's been many years in design and planning, but it's going to house our world languages, our history, and our English departments. So all of our humanities will be in that building. So your students will be in there lots and lots. But one of the things I love, several things about it. One, we've already raised endowment dollars for that building. So we're being very fiscally prudent in how we're bringing that building online. Two, it's going to be beautiful. I think it's really going to look from the outside like it's been a part of this historic campus for a really long time. But the inside is going to have really great spaces for teaching and learning. But I also like that, at a time, and I know this is probably on a lot of senior parents' mind, if you think about college and getting these kids ready for college, one of the trends is that fewer kids are just going to that traditional liberal arts education. More and more kids are specializing. They're going to business programs, engineering programs, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it becomes really important that your students get the skills of learning how to read, write, think critically, debate ideas. That's increasingly something that we need to make sure that those and kids have been getting at VES for years and years, but are to continue to get. So I think at a time when so many schools you hear about STEM, STEAM, all these other programs which we embrace, and I think we do a great job in our math and science departments. But to really make this big investment in our humanities, I think is really a critical time for us as a school. And I think it says a lot about what we want to deliver educationally. The other, exciting piece of news that a lot of you probably may be aware of, this summer, VES got the largest gift we've ever received. We got a $10 million endowment gift from John Allison. And it not only really adds to the size of our endowment, which is wonderful, but he's really focused on financial aid. And that's what that program can be devoted to. But what's special about it to me is, John's vision is he really wants us to do it's almost a challenge to us to work hard to find underserved communities, but go into those communities and find the best in the girls. Find the kids who are really going to be able to come to VES, be strong academically, be leaders on campus, and let's raise the tide for everybody by bringing in really strong and talented kids to VES. So that's going to be a really exciting program that we're working on right now that we're going to continue to develop. The other thing that I am really excited about and appreciative of is just honestly having you all here this weekend. And it's been far too long. And one of the lessons of COVID, and for all of those who lived through it last year with us, I mean, it was challenging, it was hard. I know we had lots of frustrations over the year. But one of the takeaways for me, when you look at our COVID success in that, we didn't have any cases last year. We never had to send all the kids home, which we were prepared to do if we had an outbreak. And of course, beginning of last year, we didn't even know what to prepare for. We didn't know what the disease and how it was transmitted. Remember, we were still spraying off the microphone every 5 seconds. But through it all, the reason we were so successful, one, I think Chris Button did an incredible job of leading us and guiding us, but it's a partnership. And so even when COVID cases are spiking in Lynchburg, and we have day students and teachers going off campus every day, people were doing what we asked them to do. And so even though it wasn't always smooth and easy, I really do feel like both last year and coming into this year with our COVID protocols, it doesn't work if there's not a healthy partnership between you all, the students, and the school. And so that's one of my big takeaways from last year and this year. And so I feel, again, incredibly lucky that we have that kind of dialogue and partnership with our families. The other thing I'm really proud of is, last year it was a challenging year for lots of schools. We had a record level of participation, parent participation in the annual fund. So we had 96% of our parents gave to the school willingly and freely of their own accord. And I think it says a lot about the support that we're getting. And so when I'm trying to raise money for the school, and I can say, hey, 100% of our board are participating, 100% of our faculty are participating, and 96% of our parents are participating. I mean, those are numbers that will rival any school in the country. And so again, it's with coming from me, I have a real sense of gratitude for all that you all do for us and you do to support us. Without further ado, I just want to say welcome. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad that we're off to such a good start this year. And I look forward to seeing you all. And please, we've got a great opportunity for you to ask questions, not of me, but of our faculty and our students. But if you have questions for me, please seek me out. Come talk to me. Would love to hear what's on your mind. So thank you.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to see you here after not having Parents Weekend last year and not being able to do choral concerts. This is huge for us. And I can't tell you how excited I am. It's very emotional, really, for me to be able to direct this beautiful group of students and for us to be able to share a little bit with you this morning. The piece that we're going to do is, I believe, by Mark Miller, and the author of the text is unknown, but the poem was found on the wall of a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. And Mark Miller has set this to music in a beautiful way. Our soloist today is Jasmine Richards.
Shine. much for being here. This is going to be a really fun, I think, part of our morning where you get to know a little bit about our faculty and our students. We're going to start with them introducing themselves, and then afterwards, Matt Lafreniere and I have a couple questions, and then we'll open it up to you. But first, I'm Jen Anderson. I'm Dean of Teaching and Learning. I've been here mostly since 1998. I have 3 children, 2 of which have graduated from here.
I'm Matt Lafreniere. I'm the Dean of Faculty. I coach lacrosse, teach English. This is, I guess, my 11th year at VES. And let's introduce these folks.
I'm Matt Porter. This is my first year at VES. I work in the admissions office. I'm the head football coach, and then I coach JV basketball, and I live on Randolph Dorm.
I'm David Bass. I'm from Ahoskie, North Carolina, and I'm a 4-year senior.
Hi, I'm Amanda Rem. This is my 5th year at VES. I teach Spanish, chair the World Language Department, and coach tennis, and I live on the freshman girls dorm with my 2 children and my husband, who also teaches here.
I'm Danny Staggers. I'm from Stafford, Virginia, and I'm a senior, and I live on Ainsley.
I'm Jason Knable. I teach English here. I've been here since 2006. I'm not going to do the arithmetic beyond that. Oh. It's 15 years.
Hi, I'm Ryan Crawford. I'm a junior, and I live on Randolph, and I'm happy to be here this morning with you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Aaron Stroud. I teach math here at VS, my 2nd year. I'm also a soccer coach and help out with the basketball squad.
I'm Grace Battle. I'm from Lynchburg, and I'm a sophomore here.
Thanks, everybody. How's the volume? Can we hear? Okay. All right, awesome. Friends, this is kind of a question for really all of you or any of you, and we're just curious how and what goes into building community in your classes or on your teams or in your dorms. Right? And if you could talk about how you kind of build the ethos of each one of those areas, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'm starting because I'm just so excited about this idea. It's actually something that I'm exploring in my own teaching goals. I'm doing a Towards Full Stature project where I'm looking at how to build community in my classroom, and I'm not an expert. I still have a lot to learn. I think the most important thing, and probably everybody here would agree, is just that we know each other. That we know our students beyond just being students, that we know our athletes beyond being athletes, and that's the beauty of boarding school, is we get to know our students in all aspects. But I think in the classroom, it's really important to build an ethos of trust. First and foremost, I teach Spanish, and I need kids to be able to feel like they can make mistakes, because that's how we learn. Also camaraderie. I want them to feel like they're working together to help each other be better. So part of what I do is we do a lot of conversations, especially to start out the year. And we have fun, because communities should be fun too. I think that's pretty much it. I'm exploring a lot more, so next year, ask me that question and I'll have better answers for you.
So to echo what Mr. Ainsley said, I would say that discussion, open discussion and debate, and making sure that there is a place for everyone's feelings and thoughts is definitely a major cornerstone of the institution. And I'm not just trying to sell debate club here, but really celebrating everyone's views. And we do that through our student life curriculum, which this year I am very thankful for, especially. And so, so making sure everyone has a niche, and that they are celebrated for who they are.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and again, going off of what Ryan says, I feel like I can certainly be my authentic self here, and I want that for my students and my athletes, and we kind of see the good, bad, and the ugly of each other, and we grow from it. And I think that's what it is. If people can feel relaxed and happy in your presence, then they can also feel vulnerable and have those bad moments and be okay with it. So that's something that I'm very conscious about.
I'll probably elaborate on more of the sports and dorm side. So I play football, and like one of the biggest things is like one of the biggest team sports out there, and like it's all about relying on the guy next to you. And so like if we don't have that sense of trust in each other, and also that we're all gonna get through this together, whether it's a good practice, a bad game, like we're gonna make it. And then on the dorm side, like living with all the freshmen, like it's been really nice, like just seeing that like they love being around each other, but like they also like just depend on each other, and like I kind of depend on them too. And so just they've taught me a lot, and like you know we try to get good bonds. So
So one thing that's nice about the school is it's intentionally small, and so like we kind of get to hear about each other and know about each other even outside of the classroom or sports. You know, like we just kind of celebrate each other often. And so like, for example, Ryan, I'm teaching him for the first time this year, but I've known him kind of indirectly since he arrived. You know, like he does quiz bowl with my wife, and so my wife will come home and be like, oh, would you believe this question Ryan got right today? You know, and so like I, you know, and she'll talk about him, you know, and then like we have this, we have a club on campus that I run that he attends, you know, so I got to know him through that. And then we have this, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but we have this worst poet at VES contest, and it's actually the most probably competitive, ruthless contest we have on campus, where the students try to be the worst poet on campus. And Ryan was on the winning team last year, and so like I got all that. So he is actually a really bad poet, by the way. So truly terrible. And so you know, like I get all that before I even taught him. You know, because I only teach juniors and seniors, and so. But the way this place is, this sort of sense of community and interconnectedness, and because it's so small, like I've known Ryan before I actually knew him in class. And that's really kind of one of the more special things about the place.
Okay. Here at VES, we have an academic philosophy, and within that academic philosophy, we ask our teachers to use that to design their lessons. One of the main components of our academic philosophy is intellectual playfulness. It means different things to different people, but this next question is to, of course, the teachers and the students. Where do you see intellectual playfulness in your classes?
I'm actually going to ask the students to answer this because I teach 3 of these guys, so I have taught them. So I'm putting them on the spot. I'd like to see where they think they see it, actually. So thank you for indulging me in this.
In a lot of my classes, we play games for memory. I know in Miss Anderson's class, we write on whiteboards to have fun while still learning about. And I'm pretty competitive, so it's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's something, that intellectual playfulness.
I would say our class sizes are small, so everybody feels like open for discussion. It doesn't feel like if they speak up, they're going to be hated on or anything like that. So I feel like just feeling open in the small classroom.
I just feel like each class is engaging in a different way. Like I was a Knavel as my experimental literature teacher, and the premise of it is to explore through your own writing. And so hearing other people write, and then you trying to find yourself in the writing, is definitely a sort of playfulness that I like. And in Spanish, I'm also a little competitive, and so when we do Kahoot or Quizlet or try to get the word right before the other person does, it's just good for me to try to get first. So.
So this is my 3rd year having Mrs. Rome as my Spanish teacher, and it's been an absolute privilege. And so kind of like what Danny said, we use a very diverse array of methods to study. So Quizlet Live, Kahoot. We have this game called Matamoscas, which it's a game in which you have to hit the word on the board. And trust me, because of that, I feel like I know all my vocabulary very well. We also explore the Spanish-speaking world via music, filling in lyrics, and watching films. And it's just a beautiful way to really get to know the subject really well, beyond a textbook. And we're actually I'm really thankful right now because we have new Guatemalan students in our class. So it's a really hands-on learning activity, and I'm very thankful.
All right. Talk to us, both faculty and students, a little bit about kind of life lessons, kind of learned in afternoon activities, whether it's during clubs or we'll throw clubs in there too. But afternoon activities, anything that kind of you've learned, lessons learned that you can or think about applying directly toward life after VES or even during VES.
So this is my first year here, and something that I've preached to the football players is the idea of how you do anything is how you do everything, and that's been something that is huge to our team, and me getting them to understand that the way you approach practice is the way I want you to approach school. The way you approach a game is the way I want you to approach being a good friend, and getting people to understand that everything is connected, and I would say that is a lesson, and that's the beauty of sports, is that you can use your sport to kind of teach those life lessons that are going to help you benefit in college, after college, and for the rest of your life.
So I coach soccer, as I said. I'm the head JV coach, but I really help out with both programs in the boys and under Coach Pete Urich. And he calls them Uricisms, and he really has a bunch of different sayings, life lessons, and he's very principled in everything that he does. And I've taken that to heart in a lot of ways. There's tests that certain players have to pass in order to start on the varsity team. And if they're the best player, they have the best skill, and they don't take the time and the effort to pass these tests, then they're not going to start in the soccer match. So he's taking that, what he really holds dear and what he thinks is best for the team, and putting it as a principle over maybe winning that first 10 minutes of the game. So I've taught, taking that to heart, and going forward, I think I can do the same thing for my teams.
I coach tennis, which is the beauty of being a lifelong sport. But also, I think, like any sport, I think a lot of life lessons are learned on the tennis court, such as, you're going to play people you don't like, but you're not playing that person, you're playing against the ball. Sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. So when we don't win, it's not that we lose, it's that it's an opportunity for us to grow and learn, and I think that can be applied to life too. The team's motto is hustle hard and support your friends, and gosh, if that's all you do in life, you're probably gonna do okay in life. And I just think, yesterday as an example, the girls came off and said, I really didn't like that coach, she was really mean, and I said, well, what can you control about that? What do you have control over any of that situation? They're like, I guess just how we respond to that. And so I think that's the beauty of all sports, but I really love it in tennis because as an adult, I'm still learning those lessons when I play tennis, when I play against people who are difficult. Or the other thing that amazes people who don't know tennis is that the girls call their own lines. The players call their own lines for each other, and so sometimes other people get the call wrong, and sometimes it is not fair, and life is not fair, and you, again, only have control over how you react to it. And so, and then honesty and integrity is so important in that too. So I think sports in some ways are the place where we get to teach students the most, because honestly, we have the most time with students in sports. If you think about the football team, they're out there like 2.5 hours every day. Like, they really get to have time with those kids. Same with the soccer team. So.
One of the big lessons I've learned playing football for 4 years just straight is that, I'll have some bad days in school, I'll have some good days, and I know that the second I step onto the field, I just have to let that go and just focus my mind on another thing, and that, even if I messed up on a test or whatever, I gotta come in and just be willing to go to work. The same, it's all about just consistency for me, and so I just know that into my life I work a lot, and so I'll make, it's kind of weird, I work at an ice cream shop, and I make funnel cakes, I make fried Oreos, and I just make ice cream. Sometimes it doesn't come out right, and I know sometimes I get a little mad at myself, and dang it, I wish I really did good on that, but I just gotta be like the next one, and so that, I guess that translates into sports, being I know I'll mess up before, but I just gotta get the next one, so.
On the volleyball court, we really have learned about perseverance this year, and we've had some like hardships and faced some adversity, but like coach is always telling us to push through and put a smile on our face and have fun.
Okay, this next question is really fun. This is mostly just for the teachers and coaches and dorm parents. What is something you have learned from your students?
Well, why not? Okay, so in experimental literature last week, I was trying to kind of convey how people will like take things from their own lives and turn them into art. And so like basically I shared with them the lyrics to Strawberry Fields Forever, which John Lennon wrote, and at the same time, Paul McCartney wrote Penny Lane, and they're almost kind of competing. They're on actually the same album, and they're both A-sides. Usually you have an A-side and a B-side to an album, but because obviously it's Lennon versus McCartney here, they both had to have A-sides to the album. Anyway, so we read the lyrics to Strawberry Fields Forever, and then we're gonna read the lyrics to Penny Lane, and I just call on students randomly, and I called on Danny, and Danny basically goes, can I freestyle this? And he did. And it would be great if he could do it now, but I'm not gonna make him do that. Because we don't have the lyrics to Penny Lane. But I had never heard a hip hop version of Penny Lane, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not sure what I learned, but it was fun. So maybe I learned I like hip hop.
I'm gonna let you in on a secret that I am not an expert in anything, so I'm sorry if you thought you were sending your kids to a school with an expert. I learn from my kids every day, and they don't know this, but I make them do a lot. Well, they know I make them do a lot of presentations, but part of the reason I do it is because I learn from them. And Ryan is a very gifted language student, and so I actually have to learn vocabulary so I can keep ahead of him. And I'm learning things from him all the time because he's reading articles. Danny just gave a presentation in class today that I learned from. No, you did great. And it was about border crossing. And every day I'm learning something. And that's so fun about being a teacher, is that we do learn from our students. And then just the way they treat one another, I think is probably the biggest lesson that I take away is they're really kind human beings, especially students who are up here who are obviously handpicked for this, but these kids are people you want to be friends with your kids.
So I'm a Lynchburg native, and growing up here, it's I know of VES, but I didn't attend school here. But just being here for 2 years and learning so many different perspectives of the students that are coming here to Lynchburg from all around the world, I'm just so thankful and grateful that we have this little gym in Lynchburg, Virginia, to where we can bring together so many different viewpoints, different lifestyles that I've never gotten a chance to even, interact with. So, on a day-to-day basis, I feel lucky to come and learn something, whether it's just something from their culture, something from a point of view that I haven't, considered before. So it isn't really a daily basis type of thing.
I would say one thing I've definitely learned this year is how important it is to blindly trust. This being my first year, I didn't know what to expect in terms of the football program and things like that, but I am extremely grateful that every single player that have joined the team, blindly trusted myself and the rest of the coaching staff, and that's what's helped us come together and start to have this type of season that we wanted to. It's definitely something that was a shock to me, and also seeing how willing these kids were to be selfless. I would say we only have a couple of guys who would say they are football players. This guy was a baseball player and soccer player for the last 3 years, and he came out and said, hey, I want to be a quarterback, I want to play football. And so just how selfless these kids are, it's something that has taught me a lot about willing to be selfless and willing to put myself out there to try to help those who are new to the community or have been a part of the community forever. And I would say those types of things help us as faculty, kind of be willing to be vulnerable, like some of us talked about, or be willing to step out of our comfort zone in terms of helping and supporting our kids.
Awesome. All right, last question from us before we open it up. Students, what is something that you've learned, experienced, or done at VES that you never thought you would have done before? Or have learned or experienced?
I really don't want to go first, but I'll go first. So, this is oddly specific, but workout. We have a workout room and a weight room, and like back in middle school, I was not that person, and now I am. Where like I go to the gym, I do a lot of exercise, and I just never thought I would be that person like lifting weights. But that's life. So, that's who I am.
I would say being from a small rural town, I never thought I would have a friend from Mexico, a friend from Guatemala, a friend from China, and I just think coming here and kind of opening my eyes was pretty big and something I never thought I would ever do.
So I didn't have a really good middle school experience, and like I grew up in public school like since before VES, and so knowing that like most of my siblings came and like they enjoyed it, like that kind of spooked me. I was like, dang, am I gonna enjoy it? Because like I didn't have a lot of friends in middle school, so I came here, and like the craziest thing is that like, okay, I'm gonna keep it real here. So we don't have a lot of white people where we live, and so like it's kind of weird that like I just grew up around a ton of black people, and I'm just gonna keep it honest, like that's just what I learned. And so coming here where it's predominantly white, like I would think it'd be a little weird. I'd be like, oh, you know, they're not gonna be friends with me. But like looking back now, like for me to just like be an extrovert and open up myself and just have a ton of friends, and like that's definitely been crazy, and just actually have meaningful connections. I never thought I had that. So yeah.
I think one thing that I really never thought I would do was really like enjoy going to school and like want to go to school every day and like have experience with like the small classes, really make it fun to like be in class with my friends, and then the teacher that's really engaging and helping us learn, and I like feel like I'm learning a lot. So that's.
Okay, friends, we'd love to open it up to the group. I will pass the mic around if you have a question for our faculty student panel. Or if you don't need the mic either, if you just want to call it out. And I'll repeat it.
This is your big chance to ask us anything. Really. It's funny, as teachers, we're told you wait 17 seconds, and we usually get
Yes. Would you like the mic? Or?
Maybe for the students, is it hard to follow the rules?
Is it hard to follow the rules, students?
It really depends on what the rule is. Oh gosh. I'm trying to be specific here. Typically, no. Of course, because of COVID, we did have to, put in more restrictions. So I would say because of COVID, it was harder, especially when you're having to go find your friends and hug them behind corners without anybody seeing. But besides that, typically, no, because we have a really good honor code here that I take seriously and a lot of other people take seriously. We all do. And I think because of that, we know what we can and what we cannot do. And so that kind of binds us together.
And I think the rules are very fair and out there, and most the honor code is very kind of unspoken to break it, and it's the consequences if you break it. So.
And the older I've gotten, the more I've had to become more of a role model. I didn't kind of choose that, and so the more mistakes that I make, the more rules that I break, it makes it okay for the younger guys to look up and be okay, that's okay. And so just trying to stay on my guard and just make sure I'm doing the right thing, just so they can follow up, is definitely.
At the end of the day, I don't really think it's that hard to follow the rules. Usually if you're in trouble or something, it's about being on time, and I know I procrastinate a lot, so I'm usually late to a few things, but yes.
Yes.
For the students, what do you like best and least about the food?
What do you like best and least about the food?
The chicken tenders are the best. And I don't know what's the worst.
No.
Cheeseburger casseroles.
Cheeseburger pie.
When it's just a salad bar, I get angry. It's like just a salad bar that actually angers me.
Lasagna is the best.
It's crack.
What's the worst? It's not.
I'd say the chicken fillet sandwiches are the best.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Pulled pork is the worst.
Yeah. I agree.
Chicken tenders is the best, and the fisherman's platter is probably the worst.
We take one more. What is your favorite event during the school year?
Casino night. I love casino night. I look forward to it like every year. Yes.
Oscars, obviously.
Obviously all the dances are fun, but the sporting events this year personally have been really fun. I know Mr. Barris, the new dean of students, he's really prided on having school spirit. So all the sporting events this year have been really fun and had a lot of energy.
Especially especially girls basketball. Like it gets really intense. And and volleyball too. I'm not gonna lie, but during girls basketball season, I've been going crazy. So yeah, it's really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the activities that we do are always like a big community, and those are always super fun. Like the bonfire the other week was so much fun because we were all there with the whole school, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Oh, you have another question? Okay. Okay, so the question is, it's regarding character building. And so what is in place in the school that sets our students up for life after VES? Is that right? Okay.
I know that there's a lot of things in place we have evening study hall for 2 hours, which is a really good time. I know for me, I get most of my homework, if not all of my homework, done during those 2 hours, and I'm learning how to put my phone away and really just focus on work for 2 hours, and time manage is something that I'm really learning.
And to piggyback off of that, on dorm, it's really important that we stress the rules in terms of being on time, trying to make sure we're doing things that we've known how to do, and so setting ourselves up for success in the future, especially for the younger guys, with just making sure you're not only holding each other accountable, but making sure that you're just making the right decision, and that idea of doing the right thing even when no one's looking. And so that definitely will have you success.
So to answer the question, how are we going, how do we prepare ourselves for the future? I do have to admit, of course we're going to be attached sheltered because we go to a very small boarding school, but it's such a diverse group of people. You see all these different characteristics. You have these amazing discussions. Last night I had an amazing discussion with my roommate about life and about how he's doing, and you get like that with people in your dorm. My best friend lives right across the hallway, and we talk, and I feel like I've matured emotionally, and I feel like I'm on the verge of adulthood, so I feel like now. Like, I'm of course not the same person that I was freshman year. So it's these discussions that we have with each other and the bonding experiences that really prepare
cause in the world and our community. And one thing that as a school we focus on is last year we worked with a group called Fearless Dialogues, which the idea was to fear less in our dialogues. And that is being willing to be vulnerable, but also caring enough to confront people, and caring enough to have conversations even when we don't see eye to eye. And I'm just thinking, like, we do that as a faculty, we model it, but we also help facilitate those conversations for students. And I think that's such an important skill going out into the world for our kids, to be able to disagree with people and still find common ground and find a way, maybe not resolution, but realizing that we all belong to the human race.
I would say especially on dorm, like everybody's not gonna be your best friend. So you learn to compromise and like work well with others, even though you might not see eye to eye, and just build strong relationships.
Yeah, so as a teacher and a parent, I really appreciate that question, because that is a thing that I think about often. Am I doing a good job helping these kids prepare for the real world? And one thing that I've seen in my 2 years here, whether it is your, a student's advisor or a coach or some trusted adult, there is a relationship that can be built that can teach those types of life skills that, okay, you're not doing so well, and I can see that maybe if you continue down this path in the future, then it's going to be tough for you. So we care enough to take the time to kind of teach those life lessons, and hopefully they take it to heart and can take it to college, to their career life. So.
We're very serious about all these things, and we're serious about our studies and our world and so forth, but one thing that also drives the school is that life is actually meant to be enjoyed. Life is meant to be pleasurable and delicious in a way. That kind of guides a lot of times, how we teach, the things we do with the students, the activities and so forth, and just our kind of companionship with each other, is that life is actually meant to be enjoyed, and hopefully sending the students off into the world so that they can really savor it as well.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you sharing your experiences here and your wisdom. And thank you all so much for being here. We hope you have a wonderful weekend.